My first visit to the Manx 2-day in the Isle of Man was in 1958 when I went on my matchless 350 with a gang from the South Liverpool Motor Club. Fast forward to 1973 and here's a bunch of blokes you might recognise. There were 21 riders from the South Liverpool and Mersey clubs at the event. Here we see Phil Anderton on a Balti, tackling one of the early sections. Plenty of spectators around to watch the action as Ian Shannon comes round the corner and up the stream. The next rider is Ken Franklin, who comes to grief just as he goes round the bend. He quickly has to hop off the bike, right in front of the camera. Then he starts talking to me. Mike Leadham foots through the section, which by today's standards is probably quite easy. Jim Jones has a go, as one after another the riders come through. Here's Jim Sandiford making it look all too easy, wearing his tam o' shanter, that was his trademark headgear. In another section, Ken has another go and still fails. Jim comes through. He doesn't do an awful lot better, but manages to keep going. Here's Alan Corns having a dab as he rides up towards the camera and comes to a halt. Frank is smooth and stylish as he goes through. Jeff Davison comes through under the watchful eye of lots of riders and spectators, all looking to check the line. Here we've got Phil Anderton again. Feet up until that great big dab. Up here, this section, by some ruined mines, there's a bit of a jump across a gap. Jim comes along and jibs out. He doesn't seem to want to jump it. Alan Corns gives him some advice. Mike Leadham has a spirited go and scatters the spectators. Jeff, no problem, he jumps it. As does Graham. At this section, down some rocky steps through the heather, there's a clear path. And as there's no helmets being worn in these days, you can actually recognise everybody as they go past. I have to say, when our grandchildren saw this clip for the first time, they thought their granddad looked like Elvis Presley. I wish. Mike Leadham having a few reassuring dabs. Then down comes Jeff. He's going to try and get it clean. No, all gone wrong. is Frank. Will he do any better? Steady, does it? That could have been a clean. Here's Jack Davison. He's going for a clean as well, by the look of it. Until it all goes wrong and he has to hop over the stake which he knocks out of the ground. Surely that's a 5. Back against the backdrop of the mine's ruins building, we've got some sections here that are up and down some gullies. Proved a bit tricky for some of the riders. And I'm sorry, the quality of the film's not very good here, but it has been in the shed for 30 years. Well, Phil has a good ride. Looks like he got a clean. No, Jim's not going fast enough and has to come off the back of the bike. Being watched by Mike Leadham, or his wife Marie talking to him. Marie and I were out on our bikes watching the trial. Some gorgeous scenery in the Isle of Man, and this is a section in a gully with a climb up the hillside as the way out. And we see Jack going quite well up the climb. Just look at that for scenery. The Isle of Man is a biker's paradise. Because this trial is still run today, but it's now a classic trial for older machines. The sun's come out and the barber jackets have come off. I'm not sure if that's not Charlie Bourne. But I'm sure most of you will recognise the people. You might even recognise some of the spectators. There's some famous sections in the Isle of Man, and you probably know some of them. The Connolly Mines, South Barrule Quarry, Ballacottia Mines, Knockfroy, Ballashrink, Faulty Will Quarry and Russian Mines. And this year there were even some sections up by the bungalow where riders followed the TT course in reverse direction to this famous landmark. Alan Killip, the famous TT marshal, was chairman of the organising committee, and the thoughts on the trial in the programme were written by Jim Sandiford and Jack Matthews, who had won the solo and sidecar class the previous year. After the lunch break, which was compulsory, riders had to tackle some more sections in a different part of the island. But looking back at it now, it seems most of the sections were very similar, were just rides up gullies amongst the trees. Jim has a good ride here but needs a big dab. He's watched by Rathmel. Phil comes along going a little bit faster. And Cairns having a good go. Here's Graham, complete with woolly hat that his mum knitted for him. This seemed to be quite a long section. Not sure who this is, but he's on a different bike with a nice yellow tank. Once again we're looking over the observer's shoulder as we watch Ian Shannon have a nice stylish ride up the gully. Looks like it was feet up all the way. Who's this guy leaning against the tree, really nonchalant as he watches the riders? Is he checking out the lines? Anyone recognise him? I think that was Henry Rosenthal in the section. Here's someone with nice long locks of hair. And here's Martin Lampkin. He's going to show us how it should be done. He's wearing one of the Vesturinian happy suits. Do you remember those? And now we've got Rathmel, complete with a jaunty headgear. Riders often had to queue for a long time at the end of the section, waiting for their turn to go. You're going to recognise loads of people there in the queue. This was probably day 2 because it was a 2-day event and the sections were in different parts of the island. Here's Phil tackling a stream section, but it goes a bit wrong and he goes into the water. That was a better attempt to the end. Here we see Jim Sandiford. I think he'll probably get through alright on his Montesa. Oops, yeah, he's probably out of the section by the time that big foot went down. It's Jeff Davison, I think. He's having a good ride on this section as well. Oops, no, a dab. Another dab, then comes to a halt. Graham Hurst going well. No, he doesn't get out either. I think this is one of the quarry sections, judging by the number of big rocks and boulders in the stream. And Jack has to use his feet to keep going. Jim starts off alright, then the feet go down. There's a lot of spectators at this section. They must have been interesting sections. A big dab there for Graham, and he doesn't get up out the hill, out the section. This is Alex Shannon with his long hair. Oh no, sorry, that's someone else with long hair. There's Jack. Once again it comes to a halt. Jim stops even earlier, right down in the bottom of the section. Ah, this is Alex. He's taken his coat off, that's why I didn't recognise him. He's having a really good attempt at the section. Big dab. Then we have an almighty wheelie. Oops! I don't think that was Alec's bike, but somebody else must have wheelied out the section and come to grief. In this section, the riders seem to have an awful lot of room to manoeuvre. They seem to be able to go off into the next valley before they turn round. Don't think they let them do that now. Ian almost needed a map to find the way around the section. Oops, I'll just throw the bike away and leave it here. There's Kenny coming down the hill and up the other side. Where's he going now? Oops, oh well, he's going to get stuck. Off the bike, Ken. Here we see Cornsey coming up another of the rocky climbs. Jim Sandiford going well, but having to have a few dabs. Here comes Ken again.